Let me talk about some personal practices. These get to more heart issues. The first thing I want to do is face my insecurities. Right? The reason why I can be manipulated in politics and with regards to social issues is because of my insecurities. I don't like how it feels if someone gives me evidence that goes against my position. And so I'm going to reject that opinion anyway. I'm going to double down. Or my identity is so tied up with being a member of a certain party, being a Democrat, being a Republican, being in the Green Party. I'm so tied up with my party affiliation, I find my identity in it. Well, that's not a good place for your identity. So what we want to do is find your insecurities. What are you insecure about? Maybe in your youth, there's a lot of chaos. And so you naturally want there to be law and order. And so you're insecure about anybody who has ideas in society that seem to be open to new ideas, and you have this strong tendency towards law and order type policies as opposed to justice policies when they come up against each other. Boy, it's great to realize I am insecure about these things. Or I have low self-esteem in this area, which is why I don't want to tell my friends that this one issue that our candidate holds I think is wrong. Or even though we all support this candidate, I think that what my candidate did was despicable. Or I think my candidate just told a lie, right? I can do that, but only if I have strong self-esteem and if I've dealt with insecurities. So we need to face our insecurities, face who we are and why. And then we need to identify what we need. Right? What we believe is so strongly influenced by our felt needs. So what are my deepest fears? What are my deepest desires? What are my deepest hopes? Let me get familiar with those. Reflect on them. Critique them. Are they worthy of a human being? Who has dignity or who is made in the image of God? What are my deepest fears? What are my deepest desires? What are my greatest hopes? Reflect on them, critique them, and recognize how they influence how I see the whole world, how I interact with people who disagree with me, how I process political and social information. And then we should be actively involved in serving other people, especially people different from ourselves. If you get a chance to serve someone who has really different viewpoints from you, religiously, politically, socially, this is profound, because what it does is it creates in your heart a servant, service-oriented, loving attitude. You see that person as a full human being. Nobody will ever be able to otherize them to you again in the future if you make sure that you're out in a concrete way serving other people. So much of our thinking is based on policy, and that we can get away from really being grounded in concrete relationships with others and concrete love of other people. And number 4 is related. Let's get out of our head on a regular basis. Some of us are so obsessed with politics and social issues. We get wound up, we get frustrated, we get anxious, we get angry. We can't stop looking at the blogs, we can't stop listening to tweets, we can't stop watching the pundits. That's not healthy. That's not a well-balanced human life. And like I said before, if you're going to live and thrive as an American citizen who's well-balanced, loving, respectful, who gains understanding from others and shares your own viewpoints, you need to come from a place of health. And if you're in your head all the time, and that seems to be the whole world, that's not healthy. And you're also going to lose perspective very quickly. So it's important to get out of your head on a regular basis. Whatever that means for you, you have to live a well-rounded, balanced life. And then finally, it's important to practice the virtues. The polarization, the division, the hatred, the bitterness, the nastiness in our society is an issue of character. It's because you and I lack character. It's because our citizenry lacks character. Now, we don't totally lack it, but each one of us can grow in character, and that's going to make a profound difference. For instance, courage. We need to have the courage to set aside our biases and really allow other people to impact us. And if I'm willing to really listen to the other side, or if I can say, hey, I disagree with you, Steve, on this point, Laura, on this point, can you give me some studies that I can read to kind of help me see the other side? That's going to take courage because your identity is wrapped up in your political and social narratives. It's going to make you feel uneasy. So develop courage. And the only way you develop courage is by doing courageous things. So go for it. Intellectual humility does not mean that you don't have strong convictions. It means that you realize all people are fallible. I mean, after the previous lecture on biases, I think it's pretty clear that we should recognize, we're not totally objective evidence evaluators. So I hold my position strongly, but I have this humility which says, hey, if I'm mistaken, let me know. Are there some other things I should study? Are there some other things I should think about? Epistemic humility is so important. Practice being truthful. When someone makes another point and you don't know what to say, rather than kind of coming up with a response, well, yeah, but what about this? You say, you know what? That's actually a good point. I had to tell you the truth. That's a good point. I hadn't heard that before. I need to think more about that. Level-headedness is how we deal with our anger. So we need to separate our desires for things to be the way we think they should be from our ability to interact with another person in a way that's rational and kind. So level-headedness is controlling my anger. That's going to be necessary in order to really do this well. So can I practice level-headedness? I think I can. It requires the other virtues. The way to practice it is to look at the other person not as a mark for me to convince and get over to my side, but as somebody that I love, who's a human being, which is amazing. I could possibly learn from, but certainly I can feel a connection to. And I think that if I take that attitude and maybe have an outlet somewhere else for, like, I just can't believe this is crazy. That's where it is good to have a spouse, for instance, or a best friend who agrees with you about things. You're going to need to vent. Leave your venting for the people that you agree with. And then when you're interacting with others, practice level-headedness. Tolerance is not saying that everyone's views are the same. It's saying, hey, I recognize that your experiences, just think about all the ways in which a person's experiences, their commitments, their relationships, the way they've grown up, and then all the weird, quirky wiring in their brains can cause them to think differently from us. And so tolerance means I'm not going to impugn your motives. I'm not going to say you're a rotten person or you hate America. You have the right to think things through in accordance with your own conscience. And I respect that. And I want to hear what you have to say. It's not agreeing with everyone. It's recognizing we're all in the same boat. We all have weaknesses. And we value the humanity of others more than we value being able to prove that we are right. Another virtue, and this might seem like an oxymoron, is pragmatic idealism. Each one of us has ideals that we want to see brought about in our society. And I have ideals for my own life, for my marriage, for my family, for my college, my workplace. We have these ideals. But we live in a wonderfully diverse set of communities. And none of us are dictators, thankfully. And so what I want to do is be an idealist, hold strong to my ideals. But I want to move in a way that will be practical. Like, if this is the ideal that I want to bring about, what are the steps we need to take to get there? And it's going to involve patience. I say, hey, you know what? We need to get here, but because of their experiences and biases that we all have and because of their narratives, people aren't going to just accept this. And I'm not going to try to get a bare majority and then just shove my policies down the other side's throat. No, we're going to work together. We're going to take a bipartisan attitude, and step by step, we're going to change attitudes, and we're going to take step-by-step policies in the direction that will lead to our ideals. What we have right now is a lot of pure idealism. If you don't agree with me 100%, you're a rotten person. I'm not going to deal with you. We're going to shut down the government. We're going to vote you out of office. And you can see where that's gotten us. It's gotten us into a quagmire, to chaos, hatred. We're so divided. We're not making any progress. That's what pure idealists are doing to us. We need to be pragmatic idealists. We believe in our understanding of the truth and our policies and our vision just as much as the other people. But we recognize there are good-hearted people on the other side who aren't there yet, and we want to work with them step by step to get there. That's pragmatic idealism. We need it so desperately in this country. Optimism. So we need optimism. And what optimism just means is, look, I think that we can work these things out over time. If you look in the past, there have been amazing things that have happened, beautiful changes in societies and in communities and in families. So let's be optimistic. What optimism does is it gives me the opportunity to calm down a little bit, to not be so angry, to really listen, and then to do what I was suggesting before. Take things in reasonable, manageable chunks so that we can make progress together. If you believe in God, like I do, I'm a person of faith, that's very helpful in helping me or encouraging me or pushing me to be civil and to have these other virtues. Because I do believe ultimately there's a God who is in control. I don't believe personally that God is providential over every little thing that's happening. I think that humans are doing that. We've been given free will. But I do have a faith that there's going to be some sort of ultimate destiny. And there's already been so much suffering and so many horrible things that have happened. There's some sort of ultimate destiny God has in his hands. In the end, everything will be okay. So it's not all on my shoulders. This is, again, from my perspective of faith. It's not all on my shoulders to convince you right now and to get the right president in the office. I'm going to do my part as I've been called by God. I can leave the rest up into God's hands and into fate, because there's some randomness involved as well. If you're not a person of faith, you can do the same kind of thing with optimism. And finally, authenticity. Authenticity is closely related to integrity. And what it means is that what you see when you're interacting with me is as much as I can give you the real me. I haven't adopted a set of policies that I want to force upon you. I'm not seeing you as a mark where I want to trick or con you. I'm seeing you as a human being, and I'm loving you. And I'm an authentic human being, and I'm giving you an opportunity to love me. And if you say, hey, you believe this, but that doesn't make sense, and you're like, you know what, it really doesn't. I don't know what to do with that. I might talk with some of my other friends. I really don't know what to do with that. And this is what the young people call keeping it real, keeping it 100, right? Authenticity. It's so important for us just to be real with each other. There's so much posturing, there's so much fakery. Let's be real. Authenticity is foundational for real human connection and community. And so how do I want to end this? It's very simple. There's two things that we want to practice above all else: love and truth. And these are related to one another. If I really love you as a human being, then I'm not going to manipulate you. I don't want to dominate you. I don't want to conquer you. I want to have a search for truth with you. And I can deal with my personal anxieties and my insecurities and my frustrations because I really care about you as a human being. It's a holistic approach to political and social discussions. And I need to be committed to truth above all else. So I need to celebrate if I learn that I'm wrong about something. I need to retrain my emotions. Like usually I find out I'm wrong, I want to double down, I'm insecure. I need to celebrate when I learn that I'm wrong. It's actually something that I've shared with my students. This is my definition of winning an argument. I've won an argument if I treated the other person with love and respect. I learned some new things from them that I never knew before. And maybe I shared some things that were helpful to them. That's winning an argument. If I walk away from an argument and I realize I was mistaken about something, I've gained, I've won. Right? It's not about me convincing other people. If I can be of service to them, that's winning the argument. If I can learn that I've been mistaken, or if I can see into my soul and see something or something that I regret that I would like to change, that's also a win. So winning an argument is serving the other person, maybe giving them something new to think about, helping them feel like even though you are from different political parties, they are loved and respected and valued by you. And then you get a chance maybe to learn something about yourself that you didn't know before. And maybe even if it's a really good day, you'll learn that you were mistaken about something and you'll get a chance to change it, or at least look into it more. So practice love and truth above all else. And what I want to suggest to us and end here, let's risk ourselves for love and truth. Let's be defined by our pursuit of love and truth, not be defined by I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm this kind of person, I'm that kind of person. Let's be defined by the fact that we're people who are committed to love and truth above all else, and we pursue them with courage. If you and I do that, we encourage those around us to do that, we spread the word, and we keep our politicians and their handlers and everybody else accountable, over time, we take this patient approach, we can see a radical transformation in our country. And so what I want to say to you is, however this election goes or future elections go, that's not really the most important thing. The most important thing is, how do we go? So thank you so much for your time. I've enjoyed a chance to talk with you about these things, and let's talk again soon.